Wow. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Woo.
Welcome to STP Talks, 1 hour of informal discussions on 4 topics that matter in our everyday life in Schibsted Tech Polska. The trend is clear. More women than men go to universities. Girls do better in school than boys. So we ask, why does not the smarter sex choose IT? Also, why is it so hard to recruit the best programmers? Have developers in Poland become a spoiled salary elite that only cares about money? More about this later. First, we will talk about cultural differences between Scandinavia and Poland, of course, but also between Norway and Sweden. Our first guest is Norwegian, but he has also worked 1 year in Sweden and 3 years in Denmark, and he tries to study Polish. From Schibsted Norway Tech, please welcome Head of Development, Kent Vilhelmsen.
Thank you, John. All right.
Dzień dobry, Kent.
Dzień dobry.
I witam. Jak się pan ma?
Nie rozumiem, John.
Nie rozumiem.
Twój polski? Nie.
Przepraszam, mówię trochę po polsku.
Okay. We have to go to English.
So we switch.
All right. Yeah.
Kent, besides your professional credentials, you are known as an extremely enthusiastic and sophisticated coffee lover. You even told me today that you have brought your own coffee-making equipment to your room here in Poland, so you are sure you get the good coffee even in Poland.
Yes.
So I wonder, in the audience, we have Norwegians, we have Swedes, we have Polish people. Tell us, what are the main differences between them when it comes to coffee drinking?
Okay, well, if you start with the Norwegians then, which I happen to know best, coffee plays a very important role for Norwegians. 8 out of 10 Norwegian people drink coffee every day, and I think there's only people from Finland and Sweden that actually drink more coffee than we do. And it's so an important part of the business life as well, because it's all meetings in Norway, they always start with you bring your guests just before the meeting, and you stand around the coffee teller. You grab some coffee and you start to discuss about weather, about holidays, and all that stuff. So after 50 minutes or so, we are feeling slightly comfortable within a meeting, and that's something that not all cultures grasp. And but it's very important for us because we can gain some sort of trust. And trust is very important for Norwegians. Norwegian business life is very much based on trust. So I think that's why coffee plays a very important role, because it makes us relax.
But what are your impressions of the coffee traditions here in Poland?
Well, I've been studying them in Gdansk, and in Krakow. Polish people, they don't drink that much coffee, and they're not so as far as I can tell. So they don't care that much about it. I think they're like somewhere between 40 and 50 in the list of coffee drinking nations. Whereas Norwegians, as I said, we put much more into it.
Okay, enough about coffee. Let's get a little serious and talk about work. Although coffee is, of course, important in work. The first big decision when we established STP actually was what type of coffee machine we would have, being Norwegians. But you have worked 1 year in Sweden, and you know Sweden also very well. And for all our Polish colleagues here, could you please maybe now explain the difference between Norwegian and Swedish people? Just take it away.
All right. Well, you have Swedish people tend to be quite. They like to have their routines. There's a bit, conformity to things. Actually, I think that they have established their own sort of framework for drinking coffee, which is in Swedish called fika. And fika is not, it's not very easy to translate, but it means like a small, friendly setting with your friends or with your colleagues, and they sort of institutionalize this. So most companies, they do even have regular times for the fika. I mean, and blame those who don't bring cakes to the fika, and it might be an hour, half an hour or so. So I guess the notion of that, the Swedes, they have long working days, but they tend to spend quite some time during these informal meetings, which are called fika, very nice meetings, and of course the 1 hour long lunch. So if you sum it all up, they don't work that much more than we do.
Okay. When you were working in a former company, you were doing courses, workshop for programmers in Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and Poland. So you're traveling around training them in the software of your company.
And Finland.
And Finland.
Yeah.
So please explain, how was these workshops differently in these countries when you were traveling around, how they were behaving, and these programmers, and they were taking your teaching?
Yeah, I was doing this developers guidelines tour for about a year or so within a company called Eniro. And the funny thing, when I did this in Sweden, people would turn up when the meeting started. They would be there 10, 15 minutes before the meeting. They would bring the laptops, the coffee, the pen and paper. They have read all the documentation. They had prepared all the questions, really good questions, very nice, agreeable, and everything would be according to plan. In Norway, though, people would tend to turn up, but just
tend to turn up.
Yep. During the first half hour. None of them had read any of the documentation. They would ask all kinds of simple but nice questions about things that would be answered later on, on the next page or a couple of next pages, which is quite typical. Now, so that in that respect, very similar to Danish people, but the Danish tended to ask very nasty people. They wanted to sort of put me there and, make me feel a bit uncomfortable and make sure that they had the last word and, were very critical about everything. And as for the Polish and Finnish, they were quite similar because they didn't ask any questions at all until later on when we were hanging around in the bars, and when the beer started flowing, so did the questions.
So you had to kind of plan for an evening session when you were doing your workshop in Warsaw.
The Q&A was afterwards. Yeah, okay. Which was really nice and agreeable, of course. Yeah.
We are going to have a question to the audience, and then later on have some new guests coming up here. And you will get up on the screen some information about logging in, a PIN code. So please take up your mobile phone and get ready for that next question. But in the meantime, while the audience is fixing this up, one question to you, Kent. How often do you feel when you're working with, for instance, Schibsted Tech Polska, how do you feel the cultural differences in this relationship, and how does that affect how you work?
I think it's important to be very clear about what we want. I don't think we have been particularly good at that till now. Some of the teams are, but it's very much up to the project owners and product managers to be precise and provide proper roadmaps. I think that's much more important here than in other Scandinavian countries, because we work a bit more informally. Yeah. Right? I hope he's going to address that when he's going to talk about product ownership later on.
Okay, we have the first question to the audience, and that's going to about cultural differences. How often do you experience misunderstandings due to cultural differences in your work for or with STP? Does it never happen? Does it seldom happen? Does it happen now and then? Does it happen often? So please, we are starting to vote, and please vote on this now to give your opinion about this issue. Now we start the voting. We have the results of the jury, and to comment on this, we have Konrad, and I'm always regretting inviting Konrad to come on stage because he has a family name that's just completely impossible to pronounce for any Norwegian. Konrad Pietrzkiewicz or something.
You almost.
He's a team leader for VG. What?
Actually, you should try to say it again. Pietrzkiewicz.
Pietrzkiewicz.
Yeah, that was good.
Witam. So, what would you say about these results we have here? Is this how does this fit with your experience?
Actually, I'm not surprised that we have more seldom and never than it happens often, and because actually in our team VG. We don't have many cultural differences in like everyday life. Maybe it's some to a project we have it more, but for drinking beers and going out, it's rather not happening. So
you drink beer in both places.
Yeah, on daily basis. Yeah, but for example, what mainly. I would say it's something is different. We learned it already in STP, but what companies in Poland and the people in Poland tend to be like not telling the whole truth how the project is going. So people in Poland tend to like paint the grass to green, to be more green. Right? For example, Konrad, how this project is going? Tomorrow we have a deadline. Oh, everything is okay. Artur, fix it. Back. So sometimes I would say NSTP is not happening more, but in different companies and before STP, I would say Polish people do it.
Okay. Sofia Ljungmark, you are head of new media products in Aftonbladet.
I'm not head of new media products, but
okay.
I work in new media products, yes.
And Kent was trying to describe the Swedish people here. And I know you have worked at least half year in Oslo too, so you know Norwegians a little bit. You know, how would you describe the Norwegians?
Well, when I worked in Oslo, I would say that the first thing that was very different from Sweden is about the food. Or should I say the non-existing food? We, or you guys in Norway, only have like a little sandwich for lunch, you know. First time I was there, we met up we had a meeting in the morning, we met up in the lounge at 11 o'clock, around 11 o'clock I think, and we got these small little sandwiches on sticks. And I had that, I thought, oh, what a nice thing to have before lunch. And then it was over like 20 minutes after, and apparently that was the lunch. So that's a big difference.
Okay.
So our lunch is like your fika, more or less.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I would say so, yeah.
Fika lunch. Tomasz Zarzeczny, you are... did I pronounce it okay?
Quite close.
Quite close. Okay. You're one of the first employees in Schibsted Tech Polska. Now you are a site manager in Gdansk. But, you know, I suspect there's also cultural differences within Poland. And when you came here, you came from one of the largest IT companies in Krakow, Konrad, which is a Polish company and also considered to be a very Polish company. And you come to this small Schibsted Tech Polska, which is, I guess you come from more than 1,000 colleagues to 8 colleagues. Was there like a cultural difference when you came to this company, and can you describe it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first difference is I will refer to food as well. I think that before I started, I was out with my boss and colleagues 3 times before actually I started. In Konrad, it happened 3 times in 8 years, maybe, when I worked there. So, but actually, I worked in Finland for most of this time. We worked mainly with students in Konrad. I think it's a student-based company, but in here, it's safe to say, I think. But in here, I think we have some brilliant students, but most of the people have graduated some time ago. And one more difference is that everybody speaks to themselves like you here. In Poland, sometimes you say sir, but in our company, everybody says you. How are you doing? How is everything doing? And but in Konrad, everybody was saying you, except of the CEO and the owner of the company, whom we referred to professor.
Okay.
He was a professor, and he had a Bentley, you know, and he was like a fancy guy, like almost a god who nobody's seen.
I have one more question for you. You studied in the United States. You worked for 4 or 5 years in Finland when you were working for Konrad. You have, of course, definitely worked in Poland. And in STP, you have had a lot of discussions and fights with both people from Norway and Swedish. So can you describe for me the ideal colleague taking all these cultures in and bringing the best parts of each culture?
Sure. A lot of fights. I think that the best part about Polish culture is that I think people. I can refer to what Konrad said. I mean, people, and to what Ken said. That I mean, if you go out with people and have a beer or two, and then I think you can really have a very honest and good conversation. But not only after beer. I think that's actually typical for Finland. When you drink Finlandia with them, then it's then you can get really some
after beer and sauna.
Yeah. But in Norway, I think what is quite important, and I learned it recently. I think it goes for both Norway and Sweden. There is this saying that it has to feel right for anything, and maybe it goes back to honesty. I think what you mentioned, that things have to feel right. So when you think about colleagues, I think those have to be like good people who are passionate about technologies, who can drink Finlandia, and who's got to feel right.
Konrad, you said that there is no cultural differences, VG, which I don't really believe. Yeah. What is the weirdest story you have told your Polish friends about the strange behaviors of your Norwegian colleagues from VG?
It's hard to say, but it's typically in VG, I would say, but many people in VG like to brew beer, and I don't know if it's often in Norway, but in Poland we barely do it. And it's like one of the programmers in VG, he left the job and started his own brewery, and everyone is like, what? He was an IT programmer, and he started a brewery. I think that was his.
I'm sure you still stay in touch with him.
Yeah,
we will move to a new topic, the product manager role. In a development project, the product manager role is crucial. Sometimes it doesn't matter how fantastic a team of programmers is. If the product manager is not doing his or her job, the team will fail. So let's welcome one of the most experienced product managers in Schibsted Media Group. He has been product developer in 701 Search in Singapore, internet marketer and product manager at Schibsted Classify Media and head of innovation in Schibsted Media Group. Now he is chief technology and product officer in VG. And the highlight of his career? He is also a board member of Schibsted Tech Polska. Please welcome Espen Sundve.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Is this on?
Yeah, should be. Espen.
Yeah. Hi.
What is the perfect product manager?
Okay, tricky question. I think I've been thinking a bit about that lately, and it's this unicorn thing. It's something that really doesn't exist. It's this rock star, jack of all trades. But I would say it's someone who has a profound understanding of user needs and are able to really understand the possibilities with technology and what actually works, combine that with insights and data, and match this all up into a great user experience, and really use data to deliver products. And that is a lot of functions you have to cover. So for me, it's someone who actually masters all of those skills.
You wrote a big article recently about the product manager role in media. And one thing you wrote, if you happen to get the same answer from journalists and technologists when asking what the product is, invest your money in this media company. So I'm wondering, how many shares do you own in Schibsted Media Group?
I have some. I do. I sold them and I bought a lot of again because I started to believe that we actually are on the right track again. Yeah.
But you are basically saying that you need to have both the background in kind of understanding the content and the technology and the UX design and everything. Where do you find these people?
I have no idea. So if someone really knows those people, let us know. But I think we have a lot of people internally, and we have people coming from content management, and we have people in the other parts coming from more tech product management. And I think we can converge those. And I think we need to invest in that as a function and an area. So it's something we also need to build. I don't think we can magically find it somewhere.
Tomek, what is the perfect product manager from your perspective? You have worked with many.
Yeah, I think a product manager has to take tough decisions many times. And he's a person who has a clear vision of the product, a person who knows what should be done, but also who knows what should not be done. And one more thing, I think the product manager should also explain why things are being done this way, because it helps team to get the motivation to develop right solutions and also come up with ideas how to achieve those goals. Yeah.
What is your take on it, Sofia? You have this role yourself.
Yeah, since 1 month. I really agree. I really agree on this last thing here, to be able to motivate the team and talk about the whys. I think that can spur the team members' own initiatives, which is really cool, and then we can get even more pace and speed in the development. And also, I think it's important for the product manager to have some, to be social and include everyone in the team and ask, what do you think? It's even more important when we're in different cultures, in different countries, and sometimes, or very often, work over the screen and not seeing each other for real.
And your take, Konrad?
Yeah, and I would say the same about the team motivation. So what actually is important, the product owner should show the team the big picture and why actually we are doing this stuff. So the product owner, for me, is very important to show like business decisions, why we are going this way, why we are developing these features, and to connect. So very important is to connect the team with the business. And the product owner should do it. So it's how it should not be done, in my opinion. We shouldn't have like a list of backlog features, what we should, and without any knowledge why we should do those features. But the product owner should show everyone why we are doing it and what it will help for our product.
We are going to have one more question to the audience. So get your mobile phones ready, and you will get a new PIN code coming up here. But while you are getting yourself ready, I have one more question to you, Espen. Because we are using two titles here. We are talking about product managers, and we're also talking about product owners. Yeah. And is there a difference, or is these two words for the same thing?
More or less the latter. I would say my understanding of product owner is more related to the method that you're using. For me, a product manager is sort of the job that you're meant to do. You're meant to set the why we're doing things. You're meant to set the strategy. You're meant to prioritize and execute. And how you execute, if it's Scrum, I think then you're referring to product owner more often than a product manager. So for me, the product manager is sort of the broader label of it.
Okay.
Independent of method, yeah.
So we're going to have a question now to the audience, and that is, how important is it that the product manager also has deep technical understanding? Is it alternatively not important? Is technical background useful but not necessary? Must product owners have enough technical knowledge to understand the detailed tasks? Or should we say product owner must have at least a bachelor in computer science to do that job well? So please, audience, start your voting now. All right, let's see. What is the audience saying here? To comment on this, we have Jon Sund, who is a project manager in Adresseavisen.
Thank you.
What is your reflections on the result here from the audience?
On a way, as expected, I think. In my opinion, I think you can never have enough knowledge. But on the other side, we have the best engineer in our team. Can do all the technical review and recommendations, etc. in R&D. So I like to enjoy the discussions, but I won't mess up their thoughts about it. So I think my role is to do what I'm best in.
You are a former journalist, like myself, I must say. And when I read Espen's article, and he's emphasizing all these new skills you need as a project manager, I kind of get the feeling that you and we are just not qualified to be product manager for the future media product. What do you say?
Yeah, John and we are the last dinosaurs, aren't we? I think it's all about the way we have worked and the way we have planned our work, the way we are thinking, or the way we was working yesterday is not good enough tomorrow. So our background, I think it's very, very important in the future because we always need edited news content. Teenage bloggers or Solar can't replace that. So I think it's all matters on how we're gonna capitalize on our content in the future. It's more that question. So I think still in some years, we're gonna hang around. So hopefully,
I'll retire in 10 years or something. So that's fine. Dominika Rudovic.
Hello.
You are a UX designer in one of Aftonbladet's team in Schibsted Tech Polska.
So precisely, it's graphic.
Graphic. Being a team member in Krakow, what is the perfect product manager from your perspective?
Handsome, pretty, Wonder Woman or maybe Superman.
We are in.
Actually, the words was said before what kind of person this should be. And I think it's very important that person is like a spine for whole team, inspiring us and follow what we are doing and where we are, like this Jira Ninja people. And I think that Sofia, who I'm working with, she's doing actually pretty well that job.
Okay, good. Espen, do you agree with this type of description from Dominika?
Absolutely. I think, and I don't think it's such a. We see that people are moving from content management into product management, and in VG, I feel really lucky because all of the people we have on the product management side are actually content manager or editorial people, but they're super excited to move more into technology and user experience and learn about data. So I feel really confident we're going to be able to sort of build this hybrid manager in the future.
Jon, we have talked now about what we expect from product manager, but product managers maybe should also expect something from his or her team. What should you really expect from your team?
Yeah, this is very important because Adresseavisen is quite typical media house. Historical, we've been working quite isolated with different departments. We have one IT department, we have one commercial department, and one editorial department working with their staff. So my job, or more like the company's job, is to integrate those departments more, involve researchers, people to have ideas, create products. So involving the team in those discussions, I think it's important because they know the technology and also have a good insight in the new stuff. So. I think that is a key in the future.
I really would expect from my team or the people around that it's not just the product manager's role to define the why. This is something we have to build together. So I think everybody can be way better at asking why. Why are we doing things and really challenge on that and don't settle. expect that from your product
It's
manager.
about collaboration together, and it's very important that we together as a team feel it, that flow.
One last question, Konrad, on this topic. What is the worst product manager from a team's perspective?
Who set both deadline and scope?
That's normal business, isn't it?
No. No, not at least in VG. We actually can set only a scope or a deadline. Team choose, for example, scope, and the project owner should choose a deadline, and for example, and then team cut some things, because product owner cannot demand both, because it's undoable, right?
We will move on to a new topic. According to OECD, almost twice as many women than men graduate from a university-level education in Poland each year. Twice as many. Yet only about 17% of graduates in computer science are women. Again, according to OECD. Why does not the smarter sex, who dominates universities not only in Poland but all over Europe, choose IT? To discuss this, she has worked in engineering and IT for 20 years. In November, she started as IT director in Schibsted Tech. Please welcome Eva Sjöstrand. So Eva, why does not the smarter sex choose IT?
I think that's not an easy question to answer. There is multiple answers to it. There is lack of role models. There is not knowledge about that IT is actually a creative work. What young people choose, at least in Norway now, it's more the creative kind of work. You're going to be a graphic designer or something cool. And IT is not considered to be cool, and people don't even know that it is creative. So I think we had some work to do there to tell them what it's all about.
Since you graduated as engineer in 1994, have you ever worked in an environment with more women than men?
No, I haven't ever in my life. I also took a technical school when I was 16 years old, and I was the only girl in the class for 3 years. So
maybe this is like a superficial question, but how is it to work always in the minority with the men?
I think I feel like I'm lucky. I don't have all that gossiping around.
Are you sure? Men do better.
Are you saying there is more gossiping in STP than in other IT companies?
I don't know, but I have to say that men are better at that part.
Back to the culture thing. If I talk to the Pakistani men, they are better than any female I've ever met. Yeah, but it is wrongly to estimate that you're like bad treated or anything. You actually are very well treated as a female in a male-dominated.
Has it changed over the 20 years you worked as a woman in IT?
Yes, very much.
In what way?
Yes, to the positive, yeah. In the beginning, when I was like 16 or 18 years old, I even had customers who refused to talk to me because I could never in a million years have the expertise that they were expecting. Just because I was a female. That doesn't happen anymore.
What do you say, Dominika? You are a younger woman in IT. What is your reflections when you hear about Eva's experiences?
I think that maybe just saying about Poland, this is a system of education. I think the girls weren't prepared when I was in that time. And this is the main cause. And if IT could be somehow advertising with nice style, this is the great place for everybody, not only the men's world, I think the girl would come.
Yeah.
What's your take on this, Espen? Why is IT so male-dominated?
I think role model is a good point, and I'm not sure. Maybe because I totally agree that it's such a creative piece of work, and I had to explain to all my friends when I studied engineering that I'm actually quite creative. You don't see it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's under the hood in a way. I have no idea how we can sort of open up that box and show that it's actually such a creative profession.
You look at this a little bit more from the outside, Jon, because you are a journalist, different background, and where it's not as male-dominated as in IT. How does it look from your perspective?
I think it's too late to have a look at the university level, because at that level, most people have made their decisions. I have a daughter at 11. She's studying English at school and studying Norwegian grammatics. But I think also you need to think more of the programming language. Maybe she's 11 now. Start learning software programming at school in this age. I think that is key to open up more in this area, to get more interest, and maybe in a long-term view that can result in more women also into the IT business.
Eva, we were discussing this at dinner yesterday, and one of my colleagues said, well, girls are just not as good in mathematics.
Well, they are.
They are.
I've been told that there is a so-called scientific proof. They've done a study that females are like 15% poorer in logic mathematics those 1 week a month. But I think if you look at that in a bigger scale, and if you call it really scientific proof, you will find those 15% will be just the slight that you will find in differences from person to person. It's not a female thing. and from school, at least in Norway, you can see that girls are just as good as men.
Even better in school, actually,
Even
in
better
mathematics,
at school, yes.
in Norway.
Yes.
We are going to have one more question to the audience, so get your mobile phones ready and you will get a new pin code up here. While the audience is getting ready, I have a question for you, Dominika, because it seems that there are a few women in IT, but also your group, designers, seem to be, let's say, more represented than the hardcore programmers.
Yes,
Why is
I
that?
found it. I don't know, maybe it's design more fancy than coding. I don't know. I just choose design because more of art aspect somehow. But this is also the psychology. If you are a designer or user experience, you have the tasks that you get inside the persons maybe. And I think the women much better in that task are. Maybe?
Okay, we are going to move on to the topic of women in STP. And what will be, is the question, what will be the best way to recruit more women to STP? And you choose among 4 alternatives. One is pay women more than men. Number 2, use quotas when hiring and promoting. 3, provide very family-friendly benefits, for instance, childcare, etc. And the last one, sponsor networks of female programmers. If you have to choose one of those, what should we do? Please start the voting now. All right. We have the results here from the audience, and we have also here Anna Danielewska-Tułecka.
Witam.
And Anna is the first female team leader in Schibsted Tech Polska. She is the leader of the team for Feven, and she's still the only female team leader. And what is your comment or reflections on the results here from the audience? It seems like most have been voting the sponsor networks of female programmers or provide very family-friendly benefits.
I think I would answer similarly. So usually when you want to recruit more really good people, you show that you let them learn and become more expert. But also, of course, there is a problem with women and the stereotype that the women has to take care of children, and it's really difficult to work and have a child. So the other result is quite okay also. That yeah, we should provide some help with this part.
Eva was saying that in her 20-year career in IT, how it is to be a woman in IT has changed quite a bit. How is this, from your perspective, has this changed over the years in your career? And in what way?
Yeah, it's the same. It became much more, much easier. When I was studying, for example, I was also like, there was 70 guys on my year and 10 women, so not that bad, but still. And the professors were still doing these remarks that women should stay at home and do the cooking. So it was very discriminative. It was really bad at some point. But then it's changing because there are more women in IT and they do it quite well. So the attitude changed.
Oh, you can hear me now? Is this a cultural thing as well? Because if you look to Norway, at least, you can see that females are working just as much as men, but they're just not working with IT. So how can childcare help for that?
Yeah, I think in Poland there is still this stereotype or the strict roles that more women stay at home. They tend to stop working when they have a child and sacrifice their career to make the home warm and good for children. And many women still have this guilt that if they still working, that they don't spend enough time with their children.
Right.
Chris Ofoesi, you are you are development manager in Schibsted Central in Sweden.
Yes.
And how does this look in Sweden?
Well, in many ways it's the same. So in Sweden as well, we have women underrepresented in IT. It has improved a lot over the years. And in Schibsted Central, it's pretty good. So our group is about 20 IT people, and we have about a third women. So we're doing pretty okay. But in the general, it's still a difficulty. And I want to get back to the thing you said about childcare. So while I think it's not like a key issue, I think women, to some extent, perhaps look at what level of acceptance you will have for staying away with a kid. So if you feel like it's a very male-dominated business, you might have less acceptance if you're going to stay away for a while. So I think having that tolerance could be a key to attracting more women.
And you, Chris, you are male programmer by background in IT company. You have a female boss. Yeah. And she has a female boss again. So you have two female bosses above you in an IT company. How does that affect the culture, or does it?
I would say, from the perspective of recruiting women, it probably affects in them being role models. So I think that's a positive. Apart from that, it doesn't really affect very much. I can't see a huge difference in having worked for female managers or men as managers. It's very much down to personality and leadership style, and that really doesn't go along gender lines.
I totally agree with you.
What do you say about
I totally agree.
Yeah?
That's how it is.
But how important would more female managers in the business be for being role models? Chris was mentioning that.
And I think a mixture of gender will also be good for the environment. You will have a much more healthy and good working team. Team environment if you have a better blend with the genders.
Let's move it to STP a little bit, because we have about 15% women in this company. And many of them are not working in a technical area, more administrative areas. So it's actually quite low percent. Dominika, isn't that just embarrassing for a company like ours?
No, they can't. No, why? I think, as Eva said, the nice balance where we have 50-50 is the greatest point that we can achieve. But of course, we work all the time. We work with this, so.
Okay.
We'll see show the future.
We will move to our last topic. The single most important task for Schibsted Tech Polska so far has been to recruit the best programmers in Krakow and Gdansk. Every month in the history of our company, we've been recruiting about 4 to 5 new colleagues. And this is not an easy task. And Schibsted Tech Polska is competing with many other companies in getting the best brains. Let me introduce our next guest, Schibsted Tech Polska's employer branding and recruitment specialist, Aleksandra Czebowska. And I can
having me here, John.
I can see I didn't pronounce your family
No,
name
you didn't,
completely
so
correct either.
I could barely understand that was about me.
It was so much easier before you married and you were goosing.
Sure.
Alexandra, or Ola, as they would call you, which is the abbreviation in Poland for this female name. How will you describe the market for programmers in Poland right now?
Well, after each year, I can see the more competition on this market, and there are more and more players showing in Krakow or in Tri-City in Poland. Even during informal meetings I have after hours with different colleagues from previous works and previous jobs, I can tell that there are many new investors asking about opportunities in Poland. So this is basically the market of the employer, not really the market of the employee, sorry, not the employer. So that's how the market really looks like, and this is the reality we have to face on a daily basis.
And it's becoming tougher?
Obviously.
Do you see any difference between Krakow and Gdansk?
I see a difference in the in the attitude of the candidates. There's this cliche expression, Pomerania man in Tri-City. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but the candidates in Tri-City are more casual in communication, and they have they're people living at the seaside, so they are more casual, and still you can see more no-shows at the interviews. So they just forgot. But still, when it comes to technical part, I think because the market is a bit smaller out there in Tri-City, you have to meet more candidates to find the perfect one. But still, we have quite a big team now with Tomek and the guys out there.
How important are financial expectations for the candidates?
It's always a subject. And it was always important in IT, and it will be for sure. But more and more I can see, and because the startup community in Poland is growing, it's becoming, Krakow sometimes becomes a little bit of Berlin style. I can tell that more and more candidates do ask about technologies, specific technologies, and room for them to choose frameworks, libraries they want to use. They ask whether there will be some space for them to spend time on their side projects as well. So for the good candidates, for the good programmers, there will always be more focus on technology. They don't want to stack in the moment. They want to be always at the edge of technology. So I think all those salaries you guys have are quite high already. So
I have a number of friends in Krakow who are actually background in social sciences, and they have the same level of our employees. They are master education. They are journalists, teachers, work in corporations, and they, after several years working, earn less than we pay our summer interns. And they make maybe 1/3 of the average salary level of programmers in Krakow. And that's, for me, as a Norwegian, where we have much less differences, is quite amazing. How is it possible?
I think as an employer branding specialist, I should start saying that, well, Schibsted is a good place to work because of that. But on the other hand side, yes. But on the other hand side, John, this is a specific branch, business branch. Without the internet, without people who can code, designers, Dominika and the others, without those people, a huge part of our lives will not exist. And you guys are aware of it. We are aware of it. And if you were a programmer, wouldn't you use it? I would. And I would ask for, a suitable realistic salary and other benefits, as Anya mentioned. So I think I think it is important for everyone, and if you have been in school, you have experience, every person would use that. It's an individual perspective. So you guys are lucky. That's it.
Anna, what is the most important for a programmer when you kind of choosing job in the Krakow market? What is the, would you say, are the most important? Technology, salary, etc.
So I can say from my experience, like when I was looking for a job, and also I can say from my experience when recruiting people to my team. So I think, of course, salary is very important because you want to go below something that you expect. But still, I had 2 offers when I was starting here. And I've chosen the less salary, but more like I liked I liked the way the things are going on here. I liked people here when I came here first, the office. And the most I liked what they are doing here. Like Mateusz told me a lot about technologies, the way we work. They worked that time. And that's what I liked the most. And also I know that when you want to recruit really good person, an expert, the professional, you have to give him or her opportunity to develop their skills, to learn new things, to be creative, to have some freedom to do things. Not like you tell them exactly do this, and the person is sitting behind the desk and coding all the time, because this is boring, even for programmers. They have to have opportunity to also create, develop. Yeah.
We are going to have one more question to the audience, so please get your mobile phones ready, and you will get the new PIN code up on the screen. And while the audience is getting ready, Eva, how is this looking in Norway? How hard is it to get hold of the best programmers?
I think we have a big struggle there. I'm not into recruiting for the time being, but in my previous job, we were recruiting a few developers, and the Norwegian market is vacuum cleaned. They have good jobs, all of them. So we have a job to do there, to get those gamers and crackers and programmers at home to follow the path all the way through. And I think you might even see that younger women or younger girls now are coming more and more into programming from the gaming part.
Okay.
They start with the gaming and then they get the interest.
We have the question to the audience. Let's say the board of Schibsted Tech Polska gives us 2 million zloty, which is 13,500 per employee, and they say this should be spent on one activity only, and it should make STP more attractive for the programmers in Krakow and Gdansk. What of the following alternatives would give the highest effect? First alternative is increase the average salary level in STP with 13,500 zloty per year. Or extra trainings and competence building, just push a lot of money into that for employees. Or should we just run big marketing campaigns? Or spend 13,500 zloty per employee just to get them all the tool they want, the gadget and screens and whatever they want on their desk. What do you say? Okay. And to comment on our results, we have our employee representative, Piotr Knapik. And Piotr, it seems here that your colleagues, they think that just increase the salary, bosses, and that will solve it all, right? What do you think?
I don't have to reclaim the obvious, you know. Who fault is that, we cannot say, because probably those startups from the Silicon Valley that are coming into the Krakow, they are responsible partly for that, so I wouldn't blame us for voting this.
So let me ask you this question. Have programmers in Poland become a spoiled salary elite?
As long as they're doing their job very well, and you are paying in a competitive way. So we cannot say spoil in that situation. As I said, that's not our fault or of any kind. We are just good enough to attract, you know, US startups and other foreign companies. So.
That's good. Alexandra, how do you see, if you look a little bit longer perspective, how do you see the IT market in Krakow and Gdansk and Poland as such develop, if you look at the 5 to 10 year perspective?
This is funny because I had this conversation yesterday and a week ago. I think there is a lot of buzz around it because of the salaries and the office prices, the office space prices in Krakow mostly. There's a lot of conversations on different meetups in Poland about the future of IT market. And there's a lot of talking, guys, about Romania that might take over in 10 years because there is some bar point where the companies look at and say this is too expensive for us. So I think there will always be room for the best programmers, coders, and test designers. But probably companies would not hire hundreds of them, but they would just pick like 30% of those people, utilize their skills, their competence, and have smaller divisions than they do have now. I think now in Poland it's more about quantity in some research and development centers, as you said. Over 2,000 people in 2,000 employees in one place. I think that the bigger players knows that sometimes you just need to have 5 instead of 10 to make things work.
Chris, from a partner perspective, when you have a team here, what is most important? Is it low cost or is it high quality of the work? Why are you in Poland?
I would definitely say it's a quality issue. So if you were looking for low cost, there would be alternatives if you wanted to minimize cost. But as we know, the competition in our business is extreme. And this is not the time to be cutting costs, but actually to get products out that are of extremely high quality. And I think that is what we mostly look for and feel that we get here in STP.
One discussion we've had a couple of times in Schibsted Tech Polska is, should we maybe at one stage get the pension system? And an interesting thing in Sweden, for instance, this is obvious part of the package, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's built into the system, so it's assumed.
So it's assumed. But in Krakow, not many people are interested in this. Isn't that so, Piotr?
That's true, but in your system in Norway, it's just built into the law. It's required by the state, so that's kind of different. And still, that's not a part of classical remuneration package. So we are just surprised by if you offer something like a pension, like for the, you know, stop working, being too old. We're 20. At least I am.
Anna, what do you think is the smartest thing Schibsted Tech Polska should do to get itself even more attractive to programmers in the Polish market, if you look like 1, 2, 3 years ahead?
Yeah, this is quite a difficult question. Referring to the answers, I think if the market will develop that way, the salaries should be increased. Because there is, right now, we can see even that a lot of good programmers are escaping because they get more money somewhere else. Apart from this, we have a lot of freedom in work, so this shouldn't change. Like, we still should have influence in products we are developing. This is important. That's why a lot of people still choose it, even if they can find something more money somewhere else.
Okay, I'm afraid our time is running out. Ladies and guys, this has been STP Talks. Thank you all for participating, to our guests, to our audience. Tusen tack, tackar så mycket. Dziękujemy bardzo, bardzo.